They were the last team in the NFL to integrate, and the Washington Redskins chose Bobby Mitchell to break that barrier. Joining me now with more on his conversation with Bobby Mitchell. Coming up on 60 Minutes Sports this week is James Brown. He's in our Washington bureau. JB, Happy New Year, my friend.
Jeff, Happy New Year to you as well, partner. I trust all is well?
All is well, very well. This is looks to be a fascinating story. Give us a little preview if you could.
Well, you know what, Jeff, and given the many platforms that you report on as well, I'm sure you feel the same as I do. I love doing stories about either unsung heroes or underappreciated heroes, and there's no question that Bobby Mitchell is a very underappreciated hero. But after you get a chance to take a look at this, you will agree that he is a hero to be cheered. Bobby Mitchell is the first black player to be signed by Washington and to star for Washington. Washington was the last team in the National Football League to integrate, owned by a virulent racist by the name of George Preston Marshall, who, if he had his way, his team would have been all white. What was it like coming to Washington?
I understood it pretty quickly. There was no one in this town used to having a black star. I actually had reporters telling me I can't keep writing about you.
Hold on. You're telling me that reporters were telling you they couldn't write too much about you because you're the black star?
They just told me right out.
Bobby Mitchell should be a household name. He broke the barrier before the March on Washington, right? He broke the barrier before Martin Luther King won the Nobel Peace Prize. He broke the barrier before Selma happened. My name is Alvin Patrick, and I produced the 60 Minute Sports piece on Bobby Mitchell. JB and I like to tell stories about unsung heroes. And Bobby Mitchell personifies the unsung hero. He's the guy that people who are in the know about, but the general public seems to forget about.
You can't put up nobody against him and tell me that this guy is better than our Bobby Mitchell. You know, Mitch is rough. He'll make you stay in your shoes. I'll come out of your shoes because he's got the moves and the acceleration and the speed and the attitude. So, hey.
The way Jim Brown speaks about Bobby Mitchell speaks volumes. We all know Jim Brown to be arguably the greatest football player ever in the National Football League. So to get him to speak so reverentially about Bobby Mitchell tells you what kind of talent he was on the field, and even more so the kind of man he was off the field.
Bobby was an individual that was thrown into the arena of being a victim for no reason. He had to suffer for being black more probably than any person that I know that played football at the time I played.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a pretty strong statement.
Well, I'll tell you, with that kind of ability, if he were white, man, you know, everybody on this earth would know him and know who he was.
I got a chance to know Bobby Mitchell personally. When I was a local reporter in Washington, D.C., I knew nothing about football, despite the size and girth that you see here in this body. Before I started doing play-by-play and anchoring in football, I had to be taught the sport. Bobby Mitchell took the time to meet with me to explain the basics of the game. I hope that in some small way bringing this story, the full story of Bobby Mitchell to the public, will help them to see what a real treasure he is for all of us.
JB, why was Bobby Mitchell so underappreciated?
That still befuddles me, Jeff, because given all that he endured, and he encountered an awful lot of indignities here in Washington as the first black superstar, and one would think that he could be a bitter man, internalizing a lot of that frustration, but that's not in his DNA. He is absolutely a class act and is revered across the entire spectrum. When he retired, he had the second most combined yards in the NFL, yet it took him 10 years after he became eligible to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, because he wasn't a braggadocious type. But I hope that this in some small way recognizes all that he has accomplished and that people will cheer him on as well.
Well said, JB, well said. We are going to brag about this football weekend coming up here, JB, because it seems pretty exciting. I mean, look at the quarterback matchups we're looking at here. On Saturday, Newton and Wilson, and Brady and Flacco. And then on Sunday, first game, Rodgers-Romo. What are you expecting?
Well, you know, Tony Romo continues with an opportunity to rewrite his resume because for so long, and you know the game well too, Jeff, he has been skewered because of his poor performances in big games. Well, he's done a good job of diffusing that last week with the victory, although controversial, over Detroit. And now he goes up against what I consider to be, Jeff, arguably the best quarterback in the league in Aaron Rodgers. So that's going to be a tough assignment to get it done at Lambeau Field, but it ought to be great storytelling.
And then how about our CBS game here? Broncos, Colts, the legend Peyton Manning against arguably the finest young quarterback. I mean, what is there, a 15-year spread between these guys? What are we expecting?
And boy, did you characterize that right in referencing Andrew Luck, who, Jeff, I love the way this guy is going about his business. Doesn't do commercials. His nose is to the grindstone. He is everything that Peyton Manning has been. So Peyton Manning is looking in the mirror. Quickly to say, without getting too esoteric, Denver has been trying to work on getting a good running attack, a ground attack that will serve them well in the postseason. We'll see whether or not they have that in place. Denver ought to be a tough out at home.
JB, I'll be watching along with 30 million others on Sunday. Cannot wait
Jeff,
to see you.
I'm going to try my best to look as good in an open collar shirt as you next time, too.
Thank you very much,
Okay,
JB.
Jeff. All right.